For more than 100 years or so, actually more than 500 years, blood donations have been done and blood transfusions have been done successfully. But some went wrong. Of course, some people died out of these blood transfusions. And of course, at that moment in time, nobody cared because it was a new thing and it was actually thought to be a very, very good thing in terms of saving lives. So you can imagine if it's a new technique, like the newest surgery in town, and is actually saving lives, everybody will run for it. So until about 120 years ago, when they discovered that everybody's red blood cells have an identity. Just the same way we keep on preaching that all of us need an identity, red blood cells also have an identity. Okay? And I will explain this using the diagrams. I'll explain this. I will try as much as possible to make sure that this one makes sense. So just sit back. I got you. Okay? So we realize that. So science realized. I always think that science did not discover anything. They were there anyway. The science just documented. So science documented that every red blood cell has an identity. And that identity, we will call it a flag for today. Okay? So for example, if I am a Luya man, I have a flag that is written on L, right? If you are a Kisi man, you have a flag that is written on or that is waving K, so that we know where you're coming from. And then if you come from the Luya nation, there is an army for the Luya people. You remember the likes of Okina Nabongo, the likes of Okina Muganda and Baganda kingdoms, they used to have an identity, right? And then they must make an army to protect them, right? So if we have the Banyoro kingdom and then we have the Baganda kingdom. So the Baganda kingdom must form an army that has to protect them against anything that is coming from any other tribe. That basically means, or any other kingdom, that would mean that this army would focus on targeting anything that is coming from outside, but not its people. What does that mean? That the army had to have some form of identification mechanism to know that this is our own so that we do not kill him. Because if we don't identify you as our own, we kill. Okay? So that is the same way your bodies operate. They have a memory, they know self, and then they know the invading. So when an invading comes in, they don't end up tackling or attacking the self. They clear the invading one. And that's the function of the memory. So this is the reality. So we have blood groups, and these are called the ABO blood groups. Because, of course, they are one of the many blood group types that are there. But why do we give so much interest to this one, to ABO? We give, for those of you who don't know ABO, this is basically the A, B, AB, and O blood groups, the ones that you know. So it's the one that is getting more attention. And why is it getting attention? Because it's the one that is highly antigenic or immunogenic. Okay, so when I say immunogenic, I mean it has the ability to initiate an immune reaction. That blood clotting, we call it agglutination. So when we have an incompatibility, basically you're taking blood group A plus blood group B, you're mixing them, you will get that reaction. That is what we call an immunogenic reaction, because the antigens and the antibodies will react and they form agglutination, so the clots, and these people can end up dying. Okay, so that's the reason why we are here to talk about that today. So if you are of blood group A, on the surface of the red blood cells, on the surface of your red blood cells, you are waving an identity of A. Understand that? So blood group A has a flag that is saying, hey, guys, I'm blood group A. Blood group B has a flag that is saying, hello, guys, this is blood group B. Blood group AB has both the flags, has blood group A, the flag for A because it's AB. So it has a flag for A, it has a flag for B. So this is the only one that has two flags waving because it has antigen A and antigen B. Okay, now O has no A and B, right? So it's just O. That is the only one that does not have any flag waving on the surface of red blood cells. Are we clear up to there? So A flag is A, B flag is B, AB flag is A and B, and O has no flag. Once you've understood that statement, understand this again, that if you are blood group A and you're waving a flag that is saying I am A, you cannot make an army against A. Why? Because you will kill yourself. So you will make an army against B. Now, if you realize what I just said, you will summarize it this way, that we only have two antigens. We only have two flags. That is A and B, which means you are either forming an army against A or you're forming an army against B. Are we together? Are we together? So if you are blood group A, waving a flag for A, you're going to form an army that will attack B. Why? Because if you form an army that attacks A, you destroy your own. You destroy your own red blood cells. So now you'll have a flag that is showing A, but your army will target B because we only have two antigens. If you're blood group B, you will have a flag that is saying, hey guys, I'm B, but you will have an army to destroy A. This will be very important as we go ahead. If you're blood group A and B, you are actually waving all flags. So you are identifying with both A and B. Therefore, if you make an army against A, you will be killed because you have all the flags. If you also make an army against B, you will be killed because, again, you identify as B. So therefore, blood group A and B are waving both flags, but they do not have an army. So anything that comes in can destroy them. They don't have an army. They are easy with anybody. This will help you understand why blood group AB is called the universal acceptor. So it can accept every blood from others because it doesn't have an army to fight anything. Hello? Are we together? But blood group O has no flags, right? Remember we said we have A and B. But blood group O does not identify with A, neither does it identify with B. So it doesn't have those identity flags. Therefore, it forms an army against both A and B. Which means if you bring in any blood that has A, that has B, or AB, it will be destroyed. And that's the reason why blood group O does not accept blood from other people apart from O alone. How many of you, specifically ladies, I ask ladies, what is your blood type or what is your blood group? They don't know. They don't know. But these are ladies who are sexually active, which means they might have a chance of an abortion or a miscarriage or a pregnancy. So tell me, if you don't know your blood group and you end up getting pregnant, how will you get to understand these things? Would you wait until you go to hospital for them to do these things for you? Until those A and C clinics? It is always good to know your blood group. And for the men, even for the women, before you get married to somebody, you need to understand what is their blood group, what is their rhesus factor, what is their HIV status, do they have any underlying condition, what is their family history, are there any chronic conditions and any congenital conditions in their family, so that you get to understand the whole history. Once you have that on board, you can now move ahead. I used to think twins will always have same blood group. My twin sister and I have different blood groups. Now, on that point, remember this, that babies or the fetus or the growing baby in the womb, 50% chance the blood group is for the father. 50% chance. Okay? So now you understand that. What is your blood group? Let me ask that first of all. I will explain that as we unfold this, you get to understand it, Chamazere, you get to understand it. So, how many of you know their blood groups? What is your blood group? Some of you, even on the driving licenses, you lied because you did not have an idea. Some of you just say, I am O positive because you think being O positive is a swag. I am O positive. And now everybody has to be O positive. So I will even use the diagrams. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. So if you are blood group A, this one. If you are blood group A, you have a flag that is actually showing I am blood group A. If you are blood group B, you have a flag that is actually showing I am blood group B. If you are blood group AB, you have a flag for A, you also have a flag for B. So that identifies with all the two antigens. So these are antigens on top of the red blood cells. And then if you are blood group O, of course, there is no flag because O has no A, has no B. Understood? Now, if you're blood group A, you have a flag for A that tells you you'll form an army against B. So your army is actually targeting B. So this is your army. It will kill B. If you're blood group B, you will have an army that is made up of A, just targeting everything that is coming with A. Therefore, you cannot take anything that has A in it. If you're blood group AB, if you are blood group AB, you have no army. Why don't you have an army? Because you have both flags. So if you form, let's say you form an army against A, you will destroy yourself because you have a flag for A. If you form an army against B, you will still destroy yourself because you identify with B. And if you're blood group O, because you don't have any antigen on the surface, you don't identify with anything, you form an army against A and an army against B. Are we clear up to there? I hope everybody has seen that. If you've seen that, now you start to understand why AB is actually called the universal acceptor. AB is actually a universal acceptor because he has no army. So if I give you blood group A, you will take it because you don't have anything that will kill blood group A. If I give you blood group B, you will take it because you don't have anything that will kill blood group B. If I give you blood from A and B, you will still take it because you have no army against A or AB. If I give you blood from blood group O, you'll still take it because O has no flags. That is understood, I hope so. Now, on the universal donor, if you look at this keenly, you'll realize that blood group O cannot take blood from anybody else apart from O because the identity, of course, if it takes from AB, AB will kill it. If it takes from B, B will be killed. If it takes from A will be killed. So he can only take blood from O. Okay? But you see, he can give all of them blood because he doesn't identify with anyone. So he doesn't have any flag. So he can give anybody blood. That's why he's called a universal donor. So AB is a universal recipient, but O is a universal donor. Now we'll talk about O, and specifically O negative, in relation to donating blood to babies. Why is O negative the most important blood type that can actually donate blood to everybody, including babies? So if you are blood group O negative, you are a very, very important person, but you are very minimal. Okay, so we can easily exploit you. And nowadays, because tissues are being exported, you never know. We can easily take you out. But anyway, listen to this keenly. We have something else that makes blood groups very complicated. This is what we call the Rhesus factor. Now understand this, that if you're blood group A, you've heard of A positive. What is this positive? Is it an exam that you've passed or something? What is this positive? A positive basically means you have a flag for A, you identify with A, and you also have a flag that says, hey, I am Rhesus positive. Now, Rhesus, don't even worry about it. That word Rhesus is actually something that was derived from a monkey. Okay, so it was something that was actually identified in red blood cells of a monkey, and then, we adapted it. So this is the reality. So if you are O positive, let me use A because O doesn't have those flags. So we have A. So A positive has a flag saying, hi, I'm blood group A, and also has another flag that is saying, hey, I am Rhesus positive. Now, for you who understand a lot about Rhesus, the Rhesus antigen is what we call the D antigen. That's why you take anti-D as a pregnant woman. So it's a D antigen, okay? So now we have A positive, so has A flag and also has D flag. Which means on the surface of this, let's go back on our chart because we'll use this one until we get tired. So on the surface of A, he will be waving both A and another flag that shows D. Let me use a good one. This one here. Yes, this one. Aha, good one. So if you are A positive, you have a flag for A saying that I'm blood group A. And then I have a flag for D, which basically means Rhesus positive. So I have the antigen for the Rhesus on top of the red blood cells. Have you understood that? Now, remember I was A and I had an army against B, right? If you started with us, you understand where this B is coming from. So this is an army against B so that you don't kill A. And now you have D. So if you have D, you cannot form an army against D. Are we together? So you have only B antibodies. So you cannot form you cannot have a problem. If you get any blood from B, you will destroy. Okay? And now because you have a D here, it means you have a D antigen, you have a positive blood and rhesus factor. But this will get interesting as we go ahead. If you are A negative, you see A negative, you only have a flag for A. So you will form the army against B, of course, as this one. But most importantly, you will form an army against D because you don't have a D flag. This is very important because this is going to explain something. Now, I know it's getting complicated, but this will explain something. So blood group A positive. So if you have A positive, look at this keenly. If you have A positive, you have D and you have A. That means you can accept blood because you don't have any antigen for D, any antibodies for B, sorry. You don't have an army against D. So you can accept any blood from somebody who is actually A negative. Now remember, somebody who is A negative, who doesn't have any flag for D, cannot accept blood from A positive because A positive has an army. Let me take you back. This one has to be understood keenly. This is basically blood group A. So I'll use one blood group until it sinks in so that we can move on. So we have blood group A, and that is A negative. The normal one, without a rhesus factor. So if it's A negative, we don't have any flag here that is showing that we have a rhesus flag, a D flag, right? But A positive has the D flag. Now, when you have A negative, you will form armies against the D because you don't identify with D. So you'll form anti-D. This army is basically supposed to kill any D. So if you are A negative, you cannot accept anything positive. Are we together? If you're A negative or B negative, you cannot accept anything that has a D, that has a positive. Because if you take anything that has a positive, you already have an army that will kill the D. So therefore, you cannot take any blood that has a positive one. But if you are A positive, you don't have an army against D. So you can take blood from A negative. So every person, all bloods that are negative, listen to this statement, all bloods that are negative cannot receive blood from positive. Every blood that is negative cannot receive blood from a positive one because the D will be destroyed. And I want you to understand this because if you understand this clearly, when I'll be talking about the rhesus factor in the pregnancy, this will come in handy. So you have to get it clearly. So every blood that has a negative cannot receive blood from any positive blood. But actually all positive bloods can accept blood from negative. I hope that concept has sunk. So simply understand, if you have a rhesus negative, if you have blood group negative, that one A negative, B negative, or whatever, you cannot accept blood from anything that is positive. So you'll only receive blood from things that are negative like you. But if your blood group that is positive, you can actually accept blood from anybody who is negative. So therefore, an A negative person can only take blood from A negative and O negative. Did you see a positive there? None. Because if you see a positive here, it means you will kill the D. You will destroy the D, the rhesus factor. So A negative can only get blood from A negative and O negative. But A positive can take blood from A positive, well done, can take blood from O positive, can take blood from A negative, and also from O negative. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? If you did not catch that, again, you sat near the window, even in this class. Now, if AB is the universal acceptor, O is automatically the universal donor. But let's talk about him this way. Let's go here now, the next diagram. Oh, today I have drawn those pictures. You said you wanted pictures? Today pictures are available. So, a special case here, where we have the universal acceptor, which is AB, and the universal donor, which is O, right? So, AB is what we are getting. We actually, he's accepting everything. But O is giving out everything because of, again, the concept of the army, right? So when you have AB positive, so AB has two flags, one is A, one is B, and now if you put a positive there, you've added a flag, a third flag that is D. So AB is waving three flags, one for A, one for B, and one for D, which is the rhesus positive. Now, when you have this one will still remain a universal acceptor, regardless of the rhesus. He will still remain a universal acceptor. That's the beauty about AB. But he's very mean. Because how comes he's just accepting blood from others but cannot accept blood, cannot give out blood? So you see, this one is a mean one. But O, if you have O negative, remember we said that negatives cannot accept blood, right? We said negatives cannot accept blood from positives, but positives can accept blood from negatives. Keep that in mind. So O negative, the reason why this blood group is very special is because O negative has no flags for either D, for either A or B. So which tells you that he cannot accept blood from any of them. Any cannot accept blood from A, cannot accept blood from B, cannot accept blood from anybody who has a rhesus positive. So he can only get blood from one source. Which is the source? This guy has no flags, so does not identify with anybody. Not A, not B, not positive because of the D, so has no D. So that definitely he only identifies with himself. Why? Because he has an army against D, he has an army against B, he has an army against A. That tells you that he can kill any blood that is coming from A, he can kill any blood that is coming from B, he can kill any blood that is coming from anything that has a positive. So therefore, he remains with only one blood, which is O negative. So therefore, O negative will only receive blood from O negative. They can donate blood to everybody else. That's why they are special. They are the generation that can actually donate blood to a baby without having to care what blood type that baby is. But for them to get blood, you must get an O negative person. What does that tell you? That these guys can easily go extinct, right? That these guys have to be protected by all means. Because if they are not there, there's somebody who can suffer. Children can suffer. Pregnant women can suffer. Other people who are suffering from chronic conditions can suffer. Emergencies, there are very good blood groups for emergencies. You only need to screen for HIV, for hepatitis, and all others, but you don't need to care about the rhesus of the baby, the rhesus of the person who is getting the blood, because they can give to anybody regardless of their rhesus. But for them to get blood, that's where a challenge comes in, because we have to find somebody who has an O negative, and that is a problem for them. That's a serious problem for them.